Hello and welcome to my presentation on nuclear power. Nuclear power is gained by a process called fission. Fission is when you take uranium pellets and you fire neutrons at them, and then a great deal of energy is released, and by controlling the energy, we can harness the energy and get a significant amount of power from it. There are several pros to nuclear energy, one of which is that there's almost zero carbon emissions. I mean, almost nothing is getting pumped into our atmosphere when nuclear energy is being harnessed. It's fairly cheap compared to other energy sources. You don't have to dig up oil or coal or anything else. If we can learn how to control atomic fusion, which is a completely different process than fission, we can have an almost unlimited supply of energy. Uranium will not last us forever, probably about 80 years, but we can probably use elements like thorium when it eventually runs out. In a nuclear reaction, about 10 million times as much energy is released as in the same amount of burned fossil fuels. That's a lot of energy. Of course, there are cons. The facilities are difficult to build because radiation is hard to protect from getting into the outside world. Accidents, such as 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, can happen. And then there's radioactive waste. There are common misconceptions about radioactive waste is that it's like a green goo, or something that science fiction might have taught you. But radioactive waste is what comes out of a nuclear reactor, and looks basically the same, metal rods and pellets, but it's now almost completely isotopes, which can remain dangerous for thousands of years, and radioactive waste is also defined as anything that radiation touches. Nuclear waste is probably the biggest problem with nuclear energy, but about 90% of nuclear waste is still uranium, which is even reusable. So you can take your radioactive waste and use it again. It's probably not safe to use it again, and after that you have to transport it in these transportation containers called flasks, which are a lot of steel, and they are basically unbreakable. It is then stored underwater or very deep underground. Lots of places are already using nuclear power. Slovakia and Hungary are dependent on their 50% of nuclear power, and in France it's 75% of their energy. In the United States we have the most power plants, we have 100, and France only has 58, but in the United States those plants only make up 20% of our energy.